This is Speak of the Devils on AZ Family Sports.
Welcome to Speak of the Devils, the premier TV show for Sun Devil football. I'm Brad Denny with 3TV and CBS 5.
I'm Joe Healey with DevilsDigest.com.
Joe, never a great sign when your football team suffers way more injuries in a football game than they score points.
It was a shocking night at Mountain America Stadium. This is the lowest point, at least for now. These last 2 years have been rocky, especially the last year to 13 months or so. But the product on the field, the injuries, the turnovers, 0 points on the board. The first time in Tempe that's happened to a Sun Devil team in 35 years. It's really difficult to put into words. So it's about trying to figure out how to collect the pieces. Are there any positives to draw from that game? Because there may be some, but that 29-0 shutout at the hands of Fresno State is something that's going to leave a stain for quite a while.
Yeah, the sins of the previous regime are certainly kind of being still washed out of the system for the Sun Devils. And of course, you add in just a huge wave of injuries in this game already. Shorthanded, ASU lost 2 more quarterbacks, several other offensive linemen from an already depleted offensive line unit. And as Joe mentioned, the first time ASU has been shut out at home since 1988. Really a bad show, and there's going to be some moves and changes as a result of that showing of futility a season ago that we'll dive into a little bit later on in the show, Joe. But just overall, I mean, you have a great sense of Sun Devil history, and we're talking a little bit off air, but just to put this in perspective, it's pretty difficult because even though there's still a lot of things, and this is a year of transition, kind of a year zero for Kenny Dillingham as he tries to rebuild Sun Devil football, but this was just, as you mentioned, just one that was really hard to swallow.
Because we both had confidence. And even with the late stage quarterback change that was made, of the news of Jaden Rashada's injury, and then Trenton Bourguet getting the start, Drew Pine getting action, still felt good. Both those guys had, past starting experience. Pine, we kind of thought was going to be QB1 had he not gotten hurt up at Camp Tonazona. So, there was some good energy to begin with. Then the football game was played. And since then, I've really been racking my brain in honesty and not in an emotional way. Just thinking, is that the worst ASU football game I've seen with my own eyes in Tempe? Possibly. It's up there. As you're talking about, just to put some superlatives, some statements on it, which are not great things. I'm not happy with these things, but the fact of the matter, what happened on Saturday, it's the first shutout that ASU's been involved with in any capacity since 2008. However, as Brad mentioned, it's the first shutout at home for ASU since 1988. So for me, I started watching Sun Devil football in the mid-90s. It's the first time I've ever seen ASU get shut out in its home stadium. It's the 4th largest margin of defeat in a shutout loss in the last 70 years. So there have been other shutouts, but some of them have been maybe a little bit closer. Also the 4th largest overall margin of defeat at home since 1996, and the 11th highest margin of defeat in any game ASU has played since 1996. So when you're talking about like top 5 in a 30 to 70-year span, those are not good things. Shutouts don't happen all that much in major college football. So it was really something that was difficult to digest. Seeing the team just offensively not be able to compete, and play calling decisions that just left you absolutely stunned as to why in the world that happened. There are a lot of different examples we could give, and as Brad mentioned, as we will discuss in detail, they've spurred some changes. So it is a deeply, deeply frustrating scene to have been involved with. Now then, it might sound a bit like an oxymoron or hypocritical of me to say that expectations maybe should not have been as high as some Sun Devil fans had them. That can be a topic for us to dive into. But all in all, what happened from bell to bell, especially on offense for Arizona State on Saturday, was something unlike anything we've seen in a very long time. And it's the kind of thing you don't want to see for a long time. So to see it, like I said, it was a painful thing to behold.
Yeah, ASU lost 2 quarterbacks. Trenton Bourguet went down early after getting the start. Drew Pine went down later. Jacob Conover, who was running the 4th string and really didn't see many reps in fall camp until the injury to Drew Pine at Camp Tonizona, was forced to kind of finish the game, did well under ideal circumstances. But we have to give some credit to the defense. ASU turned the ball over 8 times. That's the most since 2010, just 2 shy of the all-time program record. But despite those 8 turnovers, the ASU defense only allowed 15 points. A phenomenally good job. They posted 6 sacks on the night. That's ASU's most since the opener of 2018. They were getting after it, and obviously the offense was struggling mightily and putting the defense in, kind of put their backs into a corner. But even given those very difficult circumstances, the defense continues to be, I think, week in and week out, the strong point for the Sun Devil team. And if they're going to have any chance to kind of get some wins here over conference play, it's going to start with that Sun Devil defense.
Now, I don't know how easy it is for a team to get frustrated in watching film or looking back at a 29-point shutout victory, but I think Fresno State should be a little upset the fact that they only scored that amount of points. This realistically could have and should have been a 40-plus point shutout defeat for Arizona State. Like you talked about, the defense was, playing off the rails in great ways for the majority of the game. For it to be it was a 16-0 halftime score, a 2-score game at the half, given the way that the offense played for ASU. That was encouraging. You hope that keeps up and that the offense can find some way to have some capability on the field, because I can only imagine how frustrating that would be if you're a defensive player for Arizona State doing the things that you mentioned, the multitude of sacks, not giving up points even off turnovers. But if your offense can't score a single point, you could have the best defense in the world and you're not going to get very far.
All right, after the break, we're going to talk to a couple pieces of that Sun Devil offense that got humbled a little bit, and now they're raring to go against USC. And a little bit later on, we'll be diving into some changes at play caller for the Sun Devils. Welcome back to Speak of the Devils. Now, with ASU battling such a massive amount of injuries early on, guys are going to have to step up if the Sun Devils are going to be competitive here in conference play. Joe, who's a guy that really kind of stood out to you in terms of, having to step up and make a difference for the Sun Devil team?
So I think players from defense are the only ones that are qualified to be selected. I'll go with Ro Torrance. May not have been a perfect night for him in coverage, but I was very intrigued by what he did as a pass rusher with a couple sacks. That's a creative and unique way for the Sun Devil defense to use him. That'll be helpful. You've got to find ways to limit quarterbacks, especially as ASU gets into conference play, and that could help him beyond the college level. He's got a huge frame, great size as a defensive back, and so he has this film to help him boost his draft stock potentially.
Guy jumped out for me was edge rusher Prince Dorbach. ASU lost defensive end Clayton Smith pretty on in Saturday's game, but Dorbach came in, posted 2 sacks, and part of that improved Sun Devil pass rush that totaled 6 on the night. Dorbach is a Texas transfer. I thought did really well. He's going to be a key guy moving forward for the Sun Devil defense, keep ASU competitive. Now let's jump into our conversations with tight end Bryce Pierre and running back Kyson Brown. The game result wasn't what you guys wanted, but just you had a few receptions on your own, led the team in receptions. What is it like just getting out there and being able to contribute in a way?
It was fun. It was good to go out there. Just get more comfortable with the game. What it was for me, being able to catch the ball, feel where the defense is moving. Learn how to break tackles more. So it was cool. Obviously, we didn't get the outcome we wanted. It was very frustrating, but all we can do is come back and get better.
How are you guys kind of dealing with that frustration of not being able to put up any points?
Me personally, I'm taking it to everybody on the team and making us go harder every day, trying to hold everybody accountable. And I think everybody's feeling it as well, like offense, doing the extra things, trying to get better every day. So
how does it feel just knowing that you guys are kind of so beat up, a lot of injuries, and obviously can you like to say no one cares about the circumstances, but just still that being such a kind of a major impact to what you guys are trying to do?
It's very unfortunate, obviously, but we got to have that next guy up mindset and be able to go in and try to fill the spot of that next guy and make it look like it's going to drop off.
How do you feel that the tight end group collectively did, kind of without Jalen out there?
I think we did fine. We did what we could. We got to play hard while he's not there. And fill that spot for him. So I think we did pretty good.
What are some of the kind of the big lessons and takeaways when you kind of looked back at the film and some of the things that you're going to try to implement going forward?
Just stay calm, stay patient. Just being with our situation and just to continue to fight. That's all we can do right now with all the injuries and stuff. I don't think the season's over. It's only 3 games. We got a whole 9 games left, so it's a lot of football to play. So,
what do you think the kind of collective mindset is? Coming in 1-2 through the non-con, but still kind of a new opportunity with the conference play ahead.
Obviously, we want to win. I don't think there's not one person on the team who wants to win. It's just how we attack it. So.
Looking ahead to this Trojan defense, what are some of the things that kind of jump out of film and what they like to do schematically?
They like to roll their coverage a lot. They bump, so they don't really match in the boundary and stuff. So we have a lot of stuff in the game plan to take advantage of that. So.
Being a Southern California guy, does this game mean a little extra to you?
Oh yeah, it does, 100%. It's a dream. Obviously, as a kid, you watch USC growing up. Now you get to play against them. It's like a idol become a rival kind of thing.
Did you grow up pulling for them, being a Southern California guy?
I was more of a UCLA fan.
You were, okay,
yeah.
okay.
But I liked USC as well. I've never had any bad blood with either school. I went to both games. It was always cool to see growing up. So it's fun.
So obviously not the result that you guys wanted to, but overall, what was kind of you feel like kind of maybe the collective mindset of just the team having the offense having to go through kind of such a frustrating night?
I felt like we just like the mindset was keep fighting, don't give up. So that was really the mindset of the guys. I mean, of course, we wasn't having the night that we wanted to have offensively, but that was just kind of the culture right here. Just don't give up.
How have you seen kind of the teammates and coaching staff try to since that frustrating night kind of gear things towards a rebound and kind of putting that behind you and looking ahead to conference play?
It's a lot of guys that have been stepping up, a lot of vets that stepping up, being the vocal piece of the team. We won't change, so a lot of guys, we doing things to make change.
What did it feel like for you to get out there, even though it was kind of a frustrating night overall, but get some run, get some carries, gain some yard, team's leading rusher?
Yeah, it felt good. It felt good to get some burn out there. I just feel like it was kind of a bad predicament, but because I'm a team player, so it was a good and bad, to get out there, but taking the loss hurts more though.
What is it like just knowing the offense just kind of ravaged by injuries? There's kind of things out of your guys' control in terms of like offensive line, quarterback, and just Kenny says that no one's feeling sorry for you guys, but just still knowing that it is having an impact.
It's having an impact, but we're not gonna dwell on it too much. The next man up mentality. So that's where we at this point in the offense. So that's what we preaching. So next man up.
How do you feel that you've kind of performed these first 3 games? Seeing some special teams work, making some good key special teams tackles as well as some of the stuff on offense this last week.
I just feel like I just got to keep getting better. I showed some little spurts of explosiveness last game, but I just feel like just keep getting better every day, keep showing what I can do, and just keep proving myself to the world.
Number 5, USC coming to town. Is there any kind of extra juice? As you guys are looking for a rebound, but knowing that you have an opportunity to take down one of the Titans in the game.
Yeah. I'm hyped. We all hyped, so we feel like we could beat anybody, and that's the energy around here. So if you don't got the energy, get from around us, but we coming with it.
What are some of the things that really kind of jump out to you in your preparation for the Trojans? But what this USC team likes to do defensively?
Defensively, they got a lot of strong up front. So we're gonna work on moving, making the front line move around. They got some corners that we are trying to expose and just move around in our formations, a lot of motion. So.
What's been the message from Coach Iguano to the group of backs? Obviously, some of the guys are dinged up, but some of the just issues in the offensive line. Just overall, what's been his kind of message throughout these first 3 weeks?
Everybody stay ready, prepare, stay ready, keep your bodies healthy, and it's go time. So.
I think offensively we need a little bit of a boost. So I'm going to do whatever I think can help us get a little bit of boost of energy out here. And so today I was a little bit more involved in offense than I have been, just to try to get us going and get us out of a little bit of a rut we're in.
Will that apply for the game as well?
Yeah, probably, just because I'm just trying to get us into a little bit of a rhythm. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, to be honest. It's just one of those deals where I'm just trying to get our guys into a rhythm, and me as the head coach, whenever I'm more involved in the side of the ball, they're going to feel a sense of urgency. So I'm just trying to get more involved in that side of the ball this week to try to feel that sense of urgency to try to get us something sparked.
So that was ASU head coach Kenny Dillon talking about taking over the play calling duties. And that's something that a lot of fans have been kind of itching for. Of course, Kenny Dillingham has had a lot of success as an OC, as a play caller in his career. Has not done that here at ASU. Offensive coordinator Bo Baldwin has been the play caller. But, Joe, that seems about to change.
Yeah, that makes all the sense of the world for something like that to happen. And we'll see how this affects the season, how it transpires. Obviously, we saw a similar thing last year when Sean Iguana was interim head coach and he took over play calling duties, and instantly the offense got better. Granted, against a pretty poor Colorado team, but it still was what it was. A lot to digest with this because, of course, ASU has just not been healthy at all. Like I don't think you've seen the entire offense out there in its pure form. That said, there are a lot of play calling decisions, especially over the last 2 games and this past weekend specifically, that just make you scratch your head. I mean, we're not coaches, and these folks get paid a good amount of money for good reasons, but a lot did not make sense and made an already bad situation seemingly worse with some decisions. So we will see what this does for the offense. Obviously, in the coming weeks, ASU is going to need every bit of offense that it can muster.
Yeah, it's going to be the same offense, and as Kenny said, can be the same plays and the same play sheet, but with a different guy making those calls. And as you alluded to, Joe, ASU did have a great scoring opportunity in the second quarter against Fresno State at a 1st and goal at the 3. Just kind of some unimaginative play calling, and just was unable to score, turn the ball over on downs. But Kenny has had great success. So we'll see, obviously a lot of different pieces, perhaps, last year at Oregon versus a decimated ASU offense right now, but there will be some good news. Tight end Jalen Conyers is coming back. That's a big boost for this offense. You got some good news. Drew Pine was able to come back and practice on Tuesday. So we'll see exactly who takes some snaps there. But overall, I think just a boost of energy, a different perspective, because what we've seen through the first 3 games, even with the injuries and a freshman quarterback, Joe, something needed to change, and perhaps Lightning might be able to strike twice in back-to-back years with a mid-season change in play caller.
Yeah, I mean, you think back to when that change was made. Before that, Jalen Conyers versus after that, the Jalen Conyers we're talking about today was kick-started by that change. So these things can produce some results. And overall, I mean, you want to see them get some confidence, see them get some swagger, some energy, have some fun out there. You're just seeing, for a variety of reasons, whether it's play calling, whether it's execution, whether it's health reasons, you just have not seen that. And it's such an odd thing, leaves a lot of us just guessing as far as why this is happening. Prior to the season, it wasn't too difficult to predict that there would be some struggles with this team, but we probably would have thought it would be on the defensive side, not the offensive side, and certainly not as significantly as it has affected the offensive side of things. So the potential is there, but when you start to get to the point where you're 3-4 plus games into the season, you don't have that small sample size to where you say, well, it's still early, let's see how it can pan out. You're still kind of there, but now that you're getting into the Pac-12 schedule, it's put up or shut up time. And if you're limited, you got to find ways to work around that. And that, I'm sure, is the main motivator for that change that's happening here with the coaching structure of things.
Quite frankly, you can't go 6 quarters without scoring a point in major college football, especially not when you have guys like Jalen Conyers, Elijah Badger, Cam Scattaboo. They have some legitimate playmakers on this team. Now, even with an offensive line that is ravaged or a quarterback situation, you got to be able to score points. And so perhaps this infusion with Kenny getting some fresh eyes. Now, Bo Baldwin, the offensive coordinator, will continue to be, of course, closely involved with the game plan, but ultimately kind of pulling those trigger and the kind of the game in, game out, the ebb and flow of these games. It's going to be a new perspective and going up against a pretty aggressive defense in USC. So we will see exactly if ASU's scoring drought can come to an end. And so after the break, Joe and I will be taking a deep dive into ASU's upcoming matchup against the number 5 ranked USC Trojans.
Welcome back. To speak of the Devils, ASU is going to have to flush that debacle from last week instantly and turn the page forward, because the USC Trojans are coming to Tempe this weekend. USC was 11-3 last year in what was Lincoln Riley's first year with the Trojans, and 2 of those losses came at the very end of the season after an 11-1 regular season finish. They return Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams, who, as many before him tried and failed to do, aims to be the first repeat Heisman Trophy winner since Archie Griffin of Ohio State in the mid-1970s. This year, USC is 3-0, ranked 5th in the AP poll. They've scored at least 56 points in all 3 games. They lead the nation in scoring offense and ranked 3rd in total offense. Their average margin of victory is 42 points. I'm not saying that they've scored 42 points per game. I'm saying they have beaten their first 3 opponents by an average of 42 points a game. And if that's not enough, they're fresh and rejuvenated straight off a bye week coming into Tempe. So things do not get any easier for Arizona State.
Absolutely not. It's going to be a tough go. And even their defense is showing signs of being better than it was last year when it was really kind of the hindrance and kept them from a playoff spot. So diving into our 3 keys of the game. Number 1 for me, I mean, ASU has to be +3 at least in the turnover margin on Saturday, because ASU has not generated a single turnover, which is kind of, they've been pretty solid on defense, but they've not generated a turnover. You need to steal a lot of possessions, multiple possessions from this Trojan offense and Caleb Williams. Keep him off the field.
Williams does not turn the ball over that much. I believe wasn't it last year that ASU was the first team to pick him off, and that was after 4, 5, 6 games. So yeah, ASU really needs to reinvent itself in that capacity of defense and find some way to take possessions away from this high octane USC offense.
All right, key number 2. Now switching over to an ASU offense that we talked about. It's going to be now under the direction of Kenny Dillingham as the play caller. I'd like to see ASU perhaps be more methodical and have better play calling, but also slow the pace of the game down. Win that time of possession battle, shorten the game as much as you possibly can, because the best defense for against Caleb Williams is having your offense on the field because he can't beat you when he's out there, because he's going to get his. So if you can keep those long possessions long and sustain them with 3rd down conversions, you might have a shot.
If the starting QB in this game happens to be Drew Pine for Arizona State, he needs to engineer the offense just as Brad outlined, and you certainly want to see a bounce-back performance from him. That was, I'm sure, probably the most forgettable game that Drew has maybe played in his entire life. That may not be an exaggeration. So you want to see that sort of bounce-back. Going to be really, really difficult, borderline impossible to go blow for blow with Caleb Williams and USC's offense. So you need to find some way for the offense to be productive for Arizona State.
Key number 3, unleash hell with the pass rush. ASU had 6 sacks a week ago. It's pretty good. That might get the job done. And 3.5 of those 6 came from defensive backs, because defensive coordinator Brian Ward likes to bring chaos from all levels of a defense. And I think you might, if you're going to try to slow down Caleb Williams and this Trojan offense, you got to go deep in the bag of tricks, unload everything you got in the chamber, and just see what happens.
I can co-sign on that. Some kind of Todd Graham era ball, just go for broke in that regard. But I'm going to add like a little, a footnote to a little asterisk to it with Caleb Williams, more so than any quarterback at the college level. And you can count on one hand, even at the professional level, quarterbacks that have the elusive ability that Caleb Williams has. So you can pass rush him. Hell, you could send all 11 guys at him, but he, different than many other athletes, can escape 11 guys in some circumstances. So you've got to have discipline with what you do. You can't let him run circles around you. I remember it was early in the game, but still a pretty back-breaking play last year when he did just that. The magic that he can work. Yeah. You always have to be aware of what he's doing every single time he's on the field.
All right, we're going to leave you now with our game predictions, and this is going to be a tough one for the Sun Devils. Number 5 Trojans coming to town. That offense is showing no signs of slowing down, as you mentioned, Joe. They're going to be pretty well rested. I think the ASU offense is going to be a little bit better. I think they're going to score a little bit, not nearly enough. 41-13 Trojans.
I just have a hard time picking anything with any level of optimism between what's going on with ASU and with USC right now. Yeah, this would be a wonderful, momentous opportunity for the Sun Devils to shock the world. And if that happens, that'd be pretty cool. But until I see something better, I got to go with a 52-7 USC win.
Make sure to download our full podcast episode. We'll dive into this matchup and last week's game in much greater detail. And we'll be back next week to break down the game and look ahead to the road trip against Cal.